Hi everyone, my name is Prithvi Chaturvedi. I'm a part of Informatica Global Customer Support. Today we are going to talk about Power Exchange for Snowflake from DEI perspective. The agenda would be Power Exchange for Snowflake overview, what are the prerequisites to use the Snowflake native connector, and the demo. The demo will include creating a Snowflake connection under admin console or developer client, importing the Snowflake objects, and running a simple mapping. Now let's get started. As we all know, Snowflake is a cloud data warehouse service that is used by the organization to store and analyze the data. We can use the Power Exchange for Snowflake connector to extract data from and load the data to Snowflake. Such Snowflake objects can be used as sources and targets in the mapping, and these mappings can be executed in native or in the non-native environment such as Hadoop or Databricks. We can also run profile against Snowflake object in the native environment. There are certain prerequisites that we have to follow before using this Snowflake connector. First, we have to install and configure Informatica services. We have to make sure the domain has a data integration service and a model repository service. We have to verify that we have given right permission on all the directories within InfaHome directory. Now we have to get a license for using Power Exchange for Snowflake. You can always raise a shipping request to get the license. If you want to run a Snowflake mapping on a Kerberos enabled Hadoop cluster, then we have to make sure to give permissions to create a directory in the cluster. And if we do not give permissions, then the data integration service will fail to create the cache folder on the cluster and the mapping would fail. Now let's quickly jump into the demo. So this is my admin console. And first of all, I would like to show you how the options under license would look like if you have already added the Power Exchange for Snowflake license under admin console. So if you see my license is already selected, I'll go to options and under the connections tab, I should see Power Exchange for Snowflake and it is already in the active status. It also shows the expiry date and the issued date. Now we'll go to Connections tab and we'll create a new Snowflake connection. So we'll go to Actions, New, Connection, and we'll go to the databases and here we'll select Snowflake. Click on OK. You can give any name to your connection. I'm going to give Snowflake underscore test. You will enter the username. Now enter the password. Enter the account associated to your Snowflake connection, the warehouse details, you can also add role and additional JDBC URL parameters. These are not mandatory fields, so I'm going to skip it. You can simply test the connection. So my connection is tested successfully. I'll click on finish. So if you see, my Snowflake connection is already created. Now we'll jump into developer client and we can also create the connection from developer client itself. But since I've already created the connection, it should be reflected in the developer client tool. So I've already launched my developer client and I'm already connected to the MRS. Let's try to see if the new connection is reflected under it. I'm going to click on the show connections icon and I'm going to select my domain. We click on the database tab and here under Snowflake you can see my connection Snowflake underscore test. You can edit to see the details if you want and you can also test the connection just to make sure that it is working fine from developer tool as well. It's successful. So now we will see how to import a Snowflake object under developer client. I have already created a project. I'll right click on the project and click on new data object. You have to look for Snowflake, or you can simply type it. You'll see this Snowflake data object. Click on next. You can name your object. I'm going to name it as Snowflake source. Select the connection. Snowflake test is my connection. I'm going to add the resource now. So here you can select your warehouse. So I'm going to import this table, and you can click on finish. So if you see, the source is already imported in the developer client. So the same object can be used as source and target in the mapping. If we open this particular object, we can see different data object operations, that is the write and read. This is the data object operations tab. Let's firstly check the properties of the read object. So these are the different properties associated to it. This is the general property. It has the name and description. The ports shows the different columns of the table. The query shows if we want to filter the data using a join operation, filter operation, or sort query. The runtime will show the different runtime properties like the connection used. My connection name is Snowflake test. If you want to provide any partition type, the different advanced properties of the read object is also present. For example, the database that we provided in the connection, schema, warehouse, role, pre-SQL. Pre-SQL section is basically the SQL statement that the DIS executes before extracting the data from the source. And post-SQL is the SQL statement that the DIS executes after extracting the data from the source. And this is the table name and the SQL override. We can also override the table name of the imported Snowflake source table. So these are the different properties of read object. We can also check different properties of the write object. Let's quickly check that. So if you see, this is the update mode. So update mode shows how to load the data to the target based on the mode here we specify. The different modes are update as update, that will update all the rows flagged for the update else insert, that will update all the rows flagged for the update if they exist in the target, and then insert any remained rows marked for the insert. Next is the database. Again, schema, warehouse, role, we already saw, pre-SQL, post-SQL. And next is the batch row size. The batch row size is basically the number of rows that the DIS writes to the file. When the number of rows written to the file reaches the value specified here, the DIS service flushes the data queue and starts processing the write command. Next is the number of local staging files. So basically the number of files that represent a single batch of data. Here the default number of files is 64. Next is we have truncate target table. So basically it will truncate the database target table before inserting the new rows. And we can select one of the following options here, that is the checkbox can be true or false. If we check it as true, then it will truncate the target table before inserting all rows, and if it is false, we'll insert new rows without truncating the target table. Basically the default value is false, as we can all see. Next is additional write runtime parameters. So here we can specify runtime parameters. For example, if you want to specify the user defined stage in the Snowflake database to upload to the local staging files, then we can specify the name of the stage location, and there is a particular format that we can follow. And the table name, as we have seen, it will override the table name of the Snowflake target table. The reject file path. So this is the file name and the path of the file where the DIS writes reject records. Okay. And last is the target schema strategy. So this is something for Snowflake target table, and there are different options that we can select. First is retain, that will retain an existing target schema. Next would be create, it will create a target if it does not exist. And if you want to use create option, then we have to provide the value of the database and the schema name property in the Snowflake connection. Now let's try creating a simple mapping using this snowflake object. So we can simply right click the project and create a mapping. You can name your mapping anything whichever way you want to, and this is the mapping panel. I'm going to use as I can show you that this can be used as read object, lookup, as well as the write object. So I'm going to use it as a read object. So as this is I'm going to create a simple pass-through mapping, so I can simply create a target. I'm going to push the data to a relational object, and I'll click on OK. And the connection type I'll select is Hive because I want to run the mapping in push down mode, and I'll name it as Hive Snowflake Target. Finish. So it automatically got linked. I'll select my runtime engine to Hadoop, and here I'm going to select the Hadoop connection to run the mapping in Spark engine. You can simply validate the mapping. So basically it is complaining for the target connection. So we have to make sure that we will provide a connection name to the target as well. So I'll provide that. And now I'm going to save the mapping. Let's validate it one more time. So this is valid. Now let's quickly run the mapping. So I'm going to right click and simply run the job. So the mapping has started running. So after a few minutes we can see that our mapping is successful. We can verify the results, like you can go to your target object and just simply see if data is loaded or not. So here we can see the data is loaded successfully on the target side. So this is how we can run a simple pass-through mapping using the Snowflake object. Again, you can try running the mapping where Snowflake object is a lookup or a target. And here the main thing that we have to make sure that we have provided correctly is when we run the mapping in Spark pushdown. So we have to provide permissions to the Spark staging directory that we will be specifying here. Since we have not specified anything here, the default location would be under /temp, that is the HDFS file path. So make sure that impersonation user here, which is specified, is having full rights to create and access that HDFS directory. That would be our Spark staging directory. Once that is configured and permissions are provided correctly, our mapping will run fine. Yeah. So here we are to the end of the demo, and these are some important links if you want to learn more about the Snowflake connector, and if you want to learn how and what are the different properties of the Snowflake objects. We would love to hear from you. You can write us at supportvideos@informatica.com and even tweet us. Thank you.